Okay. Good evening. The regular meeting for Joint Land Use Board for Lindenwold for Thursday, October 28th, 2021 is called to order. I wish to announce that the Open Public Meeting Law, known as the Sunshine Law of 1975, has been complied with. The notice of this meeting was advertised at a regular reorganization meeting, at which time our official newspapers were notified. Copies are placed on the bulletin boards. Okay, first I'd like to do the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Nancy, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor
Here.
Councilwoman Hunt.
Here.
Mr. Rouse.
Here.
Mr. Vanderburg.
Here.
Ms. Julie Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Dawson. Mr. Coley. Here. Mr. Julian Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Lindenwold here. Ms. Curtis here. Mr. Lindenwold.
Here. Next on our agenda is approval of the minutes from September 23rd, 2021. Can I have a motion?
Make motion.
Can I have a
Second.
second? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mayor
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt.
Yes.
Mr. Rouse.
Yes.
Mr. Vanderburg.
Yes.
Ms. Julie Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Coley.
Yes.
Mr. Julian Jackson. Mr. Lindenwold.
Yes. Next on our agenda is JLUB 21-7. There's a resolution denying a use variance for the operation of a contractor's yard, that is Union Paving. Can I have a motion?
Make motion.
Can I have a second?
Second. Craig and then me.
Can I have roll call, please?
Mayor
Yes.
Councilwoman Hunt.
Yes.
Mr. Rouse.
Yes.
Mr. Vanderburg.
Yes.
Ms. Julie Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Coley.
Yes.
Mr. Julian Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Lindenwold.
Yes. Next is new business. We were going to do application JLUB 21-6A, but it looks like Prodigy Games isn't here, so we're going to go to application JLUB 28-1, that's Sensational Landscaping.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Greg Fosco. I'm from New Jersey. I am the preparer of the site plan for you this evening. Mr. David Chervini. Mr. David Chervini is the applicant. Yes.
Okay. Do we want to swear them in? Okay. Oh, we're going to swear both of you in, okay? So if you could...
Take his mask down while he's talking, right? Might be easier if you take your mask down while you're talking. Yeah.
6 feet away.
Okay. So could you...
I can't hear.
That's pretty.
Okay, could you both raise your right hand, and could you give me your name and your address first?
David Chervini, 24 Below Cedar Way, New Jersey. And Gregory Fosco, 80 South White Horse Pike, Berlin, New Jersey.
Okay, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give this evening will be the whole truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
And members of the board, I apologize. I can't hear. And while it works great at home, it's horrible for my job. So I continue to ask you to repeat yourself. I'm sorry. Mr. Chervini operates Sensational Landscaping. Our office received a use variance approval for him from this board about a year ago. He takes care of the landscaping business that's solely located on Laurel Road. We know it as 1202 Laurel Road. And basically sells seasonal landscape-related items at the facility all year round. Christmas trees at Christmas time, pumpkins, and mums in the fall, Easter's flowers, and then summer, I guess, spring will be landscaping. So one of the requirements of the use variance, we're going to come back to the line of site plan, make sure we fulfill minor site plan issues and which is more than the waivers in the way. So that's why we're here this evening. We received a letter from Jeffrey Hansen, who reviewed the application. And, the way Jeff's office structured the letter, he asked all the questions that I know you want to hear answers to. Most of them have to come from Mr. Jardine, so I don't know how you want to do it. If you can begin by just going through the letters, Jeff will step by step. Up to you.
Mr. Chairman, do you think we should just go through the
Yeah,
letter step by
let's go over it, yeah.
Do you want me to read a summary of the, do you want to give a summary, Greg, or do you want me to read the summary of the application real quick?
I thought I did that, but...
Okay.
Yeah, just
Everybody sort of knows what's going on there.
Yeah.
The stuff that would be new is there's going to be a construction of a permanent 20 by 100 greenhouse behind the office/dwelling that's on the site now. And they're going to put 3 10 by 150 hoop houses and 2 more future hoop houses. And then there's a 24-foot wide soil driveway. We had a couple questions about that. That's going to access all of these features, basically. And I think that pretty much covers it, right, Greg?
One large greenhouse structure, 3 new temporary hoop houses, 2 possibly in the future, and an area for staging of bulk materials such as mulch and stuff.
I think we can move on to really to page 2 of the, well, there were 2 minor site plan checklist items that they were asking for a waiver from. One was a landscaping plan. I don't believe there's any landscaping really that's proposed. I think we asked for some screening over by the material bins in the letter later on, and then a complete site lighting plan. I didn't have any objection to the waivers provided that we give testimony or supplemental information this evening for the things that we requested related to those items in my letter. We can move on to variances and waivers. Number 1, we require a non-residential development in the OP zone to have a buffer between the residential zone and the shared property line with a non-residential zone. That would be the first waiver. Second waiver requires that all parking spaces be surfaced with a dustless and permanent surface like asphalt or concrete, and they're using mostly soil and dense graded aggregate, aka gravel, so that's another design waiver. We require in 36593B that all parking areas and driveway are adequately illuminated between sunset and sunrise. We didn't get any photometric data for that area, and there's no lighting proposed. Going to need some testimony about those lighting levels. And
Yes, we are. We are going to provide testimony for all these.
okay, and then there's another one that prohibits maneuvering with parked vehicles within 20 feet of the right-of-way. Will be within approximately 10 feet of the right-of-way in the front of the property there. And then another one to require a loading zone that's not less than 12 feet in width and 35 feet in length. No loading zones proposed. So do you want to talk about the waivers first, Greg, before we move on to the general comments?
We'd like that. Yeah. A lot of these will be carried on throughout the meeting, so.
Okay. Okay. Yes, might as well cover them now.
With regard to the landscaping buffer requirements, I'm sure a lot of because I can't hear people complain I talk too loud, I thought I'm going to ask Mr. Chervati to point out on the plan, during the use variance application, there was a request for him to plan some additional landscaping on the site, to buffer to the neighbors adjoining him. I believe that's already been constructed. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, so right along the residential house, this is picking up on that.
Yeah, I think you're good.
So right along the residential house, that's right alongside, what I've actually done already, this is the storage area they were, I guess, required at some point to actually put in Leland cypress and green
Okay.
giants already. I've actually gone ahead, actually a year ago, they're already in place,
Okay.
they're 10-foot trunk to trunk. Right along the neighboring house already, they're already in place. So what I've done was I've taken this corner, which is a large maple in the neighbor's yard, and then I've actually placed them 10 all the way up. I believe it's about 20 foot off of the fence that is joining here, which is basically the distance that I saw from the other commercial properties.
Okay. I don't see any, it doesn't seem any of your neighbors are out here tonight to complain about that. We haven't heard anything that I'm aware of, so. So that is it's at the western site?
Yes.
Site property line? Okay. Okay.
Moving on to the second waiver, design waiver or submission waiver being requested. Currently, the front of the site, there's no bituminous paving where the operation, for the operation of vehicles or visitors to pave on, it's all stone. The applicant would like to continue to maintain the stone. It doesn't appear to be an issue with the neighborhood or the roadway. The stone's going to help him with the situation we have to deal with later on in the meeting and regarding stormwater management. So that's the decision we'd like to bring out. We request that the driveway area is on stone.
Greg, while we're talking about that, I did ask later in the letter about what the nature of that soil driveway is. Could you touch on that right now while we're sort of on the
And I'm going
topic?
to let Mr.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the very rear of the property, we restore, currently we have sitting back there, some snow plows, actual vehicles will be used for the landscaping.
Okay.
And then employees also will use that road, obviously, for the vehicle, and then they would hop in the commercial vehicle and take that, with whatever equipment.
Okay. But I was just wondering is it going to be surfaced with anything, or are you basically just going to be driving over it?
Honestly, yeah, because, that's only access, and it's basically one in the morning, they'll pick up the vehicle, they'll leave.
So you're going to have one truck going back there a day?
It's that,
For the frequency that he uses it on a daily basis.
You're not going to have 20 guys coming and going out of there and stirring up dust or anything? That was our concern.
We just believe that, again, for the frequency that he uses it every day, he's been operating out for a year out there, it hasn't become an issue.
Is it pretty firm and it's not rutting or, and I'm sure if you'll provide the proper upkeep if you need to fill a couple of ruts or something like that. I don't have an objection to that considering the minimal amount of traffic and it's his own vehicles. It's not like customers are going to be going back there or anything.
People come in at the end of the day and on the weekends, that's just
Okay.
major traffic time, so to speak. It's not every single day in and out constantly. The other issue regarding submission waivers, design waiver, is the fact that lighting hasn't been proposed. They're correct, lighting isn't proposed, but there is lighting out there, and our office conducted a lighting survey. We actually went out there with a light meter, and we put those light illumination values on the plan, and they do meet the minimum safety review ordinance. So,
Okay.
we don't believe the light that's there is bothering anyone. We don't believe it's throwing out onto the roadway or on the neighbor's property. So again, because of that,
You just want to add them to the final plans? You have the light levels, you can just add them for the signature plans?
they're on there, but I will. We can
Oh,
highlight
okay.
them back and send them over.
Oh, I didn't realize they were on there.
They look like grades, but I'll
Okay.
highlight them.
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Ben.
And then the next submission waiver, or design waiver for that matter, that's required. The ordinance indicates that all parking spaces closest to the roadway need to be at least 20 feet away from the curb line. We snuck the parking space in on the site, not greater than 20 feet from the curb line. To be honest, like you saw, parking spaces on the property as possible. So we're asking for a waiver on that.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I think the loading's in. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was looking at the wrong comment.
And then, the last design waiver from your ordinance would be providing a loading zone. Loading zone, at least 12 feet wide, 10 feet wide, sorry, 12 feet wide, 35 feet in length are required. I'll let Mr. Devine, testify, but this is like this is loading everywhere.
I mean, a loading zone is typically for a retail establishment like a Wawa or something where you're going to have tractor trailers and whatnot going. I imagine the types of, I mean, you can give the testimony, but the types of deliveries you're going to get are like stone and mulch and whatever, and the truck's going to pull in back up to the storage bin and leave. You don't really need a loading zone, it doesn't seem like.
No,
Would that
absolutely.
be accurate?
I mean, a lot of actually even current material, we brought in ourselves in our trucks, it just stays on break. I mean, that's the reality of it. Anything more than that would just be very temporary, and if so, that's kind of where the hoop comes in, where they can pull in, we can drop it off, and disperse it throughout the garden center, or if really needed, if they had to go, alongside here to drop, but it's very quick.
Do you think there's adequate loading area where it's not going to impact your customers' traffic, anything like that?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's really, I mean, because most of the traffic, these bins really are sort of coming in, filling up, and they're out.
Okay.
So, with that said, if there's parts of here that are actually, working and grabbing the material, what have you, it's a big sort.
Okay.
And then they can just come on that.
And I believe that this is Mr. Farmer. The next item on the letter is item number 6. Mr. Nancy has asked if there are any environmental barriers to the respective property. On the property itself, there are no sprinkler wetlands, there are no wetland buffers. The property abuts a very deep ravine. The bottom of the ravine is a good 100 feet away from the top of bank, which is further along his property line. We don't feel there are any environmental constraints that concern this property.
And I know you guys have been back and forth with DEP several times trying to get a determination on that. Move on to number 7. Move on to number 7.
Yes, please. I guess, item number 7 requests that the applicant just discuss his operation. So, please state, hours of operations, days, type of activities.
So we would be open 7 days a week. Current hours are 8 to 7 p.m. Some days at 10 to 4. For obvious reasons, Christmas holiday, we're 2 to 9. Now, of course, the items, all the items. Pretty much January and February are pretty quiet, to be perfectly honest with you. We have a little bit of firewood on the property, so that may be something that's a little bit different, but not too much. I mean, would you like me to just go down to DEC?
Sure.
Okay. So the activities on there, for the most part, again, day-to-day operations, of course, as we kind of touched on, folks coming in, buying plant material, flowers, whatever that may be for the holidays. In addition to that, then, as I said, the flowers, the trees, shrubs, produce, if you want to consider planting produce, that sort of thing. It's all very straightforward, holiday decor. Plant deliveries, whenever we would get on the recommendation, as we kind of touched on again, we would just put something out, the whole place. Other products would be, as we decide to get into little hand tools for gardening, this sort of thing. We do currently have bag topsoil, mulch for folks to grab. As far as equipment, general landscaping equipment, which we currently do have on the property, lawn service equipment, we do have all enclosed in enclosed garage, attached garage, already on site plan there. So that's, again, pretty straightforward. Employees, any shift, right now we're 2. Also saying to be bigger, but I don't know what that's going to be yet. So that's currently where we're at, 2 to 4 employees at any given time. Most of the time it's 1 to 2. Vehicles, pickup trucks, customer vehicles, delivery trucks as needed, again, as we already touched on. And then vehicle trips, I mean, I actually looked through our register. We have a pretty unique register that we use, and we did 30 to 40 customers in and out, and that was at a prime time during single person.
All
So I
day?
kind of use that as
30 or 40 all day?
yeah, all day.
Okay.
So I just kind of use that as a pretty good rate. Yeah, I mean, that's, if you want, like, to go forward on each.
Like, what do you think, George, right?
Yeah, we're good on number 7, I think.
Took care of eight.
So, yeah, it depends, wood chips, which, or mulch, same thing, aggregates, anything from 3/8 in size to 5 inches, which is various stones,
You are going to, number 9 would be whether you're going to sell retail or wholesale
Yeah,
plants.
so, exactly, so 95% of it is going to be wholesale, just as ourselves as landscapers. Yeah, I mean, we're going to be bringing stuff to us to go out and disperse, and I'm sure along the way we will have one information. But I would say 95% of that will be
Item number 10, can you just explain to the board how you're going to handle
Yes.
Solid waste?
So currently, most of our waste is actually natural. So we already take that as part of our business to the particular sites that are around and going to do handful. So we're already taking care of that. Our trash, we're actually already taking it off site because when we got one, or purchased this property, we were already cut off, if you will, from the town from normal trash pickup. So we actually take it to Robinson already up in Consulting, and we actually disperse it in our own dump trucks. So and that's mostly collected stuff, and we like I said, most of our stuff.
You just station it in the trucks until it's ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, actually, we, a couple trash cans, but literally, when I tell you a couple,
So there's no need for a large dumpster area anywhere?
Really, like I said, most of our stuff natural, which we take almost on a daily basis, because it goes on the load from the job that we've already done, that day.
Okay.
Item number 11, do you have it?
Yes. So, yep, so currently, since we've been in, we actually have a 16 camera system in place, it's 24-hour route. We've actually already helped the Lindenwold police officers with this. They've actually got some surveillance off the road cameras that just help them.
I think that was part of your use variance approval was included, that was included too, so that should already be covered, but
Yeah.
if you're good with the police department, then we're good.
And we can move on to item number 12. You're providing 8 parking spaces, which includes 1 barrier-free space. Can you just explain to the board, those spaces are for clientele, and this is only for employees, the employees come to the site and leave in their vehicles, or?
Yeah, so, just kind of again, as we touched, so customers would come in, they would actually park in the parking lot. All our employees are currently going towards the back, even the ones who say would work in the retail area, they're going in the back and parking where our general vehicles currently
And you use this area now for parking?
Currently,
In operation
yeah.
for the last year?
Yes, absolutely, yeah, at Christmas, we'll mark a full year garden center as a full loop around.
Item number 13, there's a stone area, I'm showing where my finger is, right here in front of it, the existing parking spaces. It's ironic that that stone area lines up with the press curve that's down on Laurel Road in front of the site. It appears it looks like a driveway. Dave does not use it as a driveway. He uses the stone area as staging for plants, shrubbery, things like that. So, as a matter of fact, tonight, I believe, you told me it's roped off, correct?
It is, so it's roped off, we actually have a cart that we put down there, again, just for safety reasons for folks, but down there literally has flowers on them, we bring it in and out every day, but it always has a yellow chain across it, it's safe for that reason, but we put it out there, it actually works great for this, but otherwise, on either side of it, as well as the front of the parking lot, there's actually already a 2-panel fence that runs the entire length and that way, so it's pretty hard to mistake that is.
Okay. There's also a fence there.
Yeah, there's a fence there, and our stone matches right up to that depressed area, so again, you would think you're pulling into the show area with a vehicle, so.
So item number 14, we've already discussed, that would be the soil driveway that extends from the front of the site through the back. Item number 15, horseshoe driveway located in this area of the site. Okay, it really, let me get a horseshoe driveway, right? The two normally curb opening scales approximately 16 feet width, which it is. We'd like to keep it that way, and Jeff, recommends that we keep it in a one-way direction and sign it that way, and we have no objection.
Okay. It's not gonna affect your operation too bad. Just don't want people stacking out onto Laurel Road.
There, it's actually better.
Okay.
Because
I think
we
it's
get
one of the
more
issues, I think it's best. There's an existing concrete pad there now. David, please elaborate.
Yeah, so I mean, the plans were just to literally leave it. Honestly, I feel that it will help with the strength of anyone coming in here as well as pick up. It's going to help the burden coming through and not creating sinkhole from the
Okay. So it's just gonna be part of the driveway, basically?
Pretty much, yeah.
Probably the old produce stand sat on
That's
it or
exactly what
something,
it was.
right?
So there was,
Okay.
when we purchased it, there was actually a trailer sitting on top of that, which we immediately took down and disposed of and got rid of.
Okay.
Item number 17 is the recommendation for a stop sign at the driveway entrance. That's, we're obviously going to comply with that. We will do that. Item number 18, request whether or not signage is going to be proposed. Right now, the applicant would like to, if he proposes a sign, the sign will comply with the ordinance, whether or not it come back to the board.
Okay.
For some reason it doesn't, we'll go back to the planning. I don't think
Okay.
the next item is stormwater management, and stormwater management will be required for the project. It's up to our office to make sure the project meets the intended review stormwater rules that have recently been adopted by the DEP. I discussed with Mr. Hanson today, we have no objection doing that. We'd like to just reserve the opportunity to work with him to make sure that we provide the correct features that are needed to comply.
Greg and I had talked about this earlier in the week too, or when maybe it was last week, I don't recall. But maybe putting in some stone infiltration areas near the hoop houses to collect the water, and then putting in maybe like a seepage pit so that we can capture so we can meet the stormwater regulations. Once you're over 0.25 acres of new impervious area, you've got to do, that's major development as per DEP, so we've got to do something for water quantity and quality in that regard. So as long as the board's okay with it, we can make it a condition that Greg's office and I work that out. It shouldn't be too hard to hurt all the.
That sounds good.
I think we probably have sandy soils out there.
And the only thing we would like to ask is, Dave doesn't think he's going to build the greenhouse right away. I think it might be 3, 4, maybe 5 years down the line. This is a greenhouse structure. Same thing with the hoop houses. He may start with one hoop house and not do all 3. And it may be 10 years down the line before he has all 5. So when I revise the plan and submit it for review based on any approval and the resolution that will be adopted, we're going to state in your phase what's going to be done, provide the time frames, and associate the stormwater management to be constructed for those activities accordingly on the plan. This way, every year the stormwater inspector comes down to the municipality and wants to see things that have been approved, see the way they've been reviewed, all that information will be on the plan. For some reason, she actually goes out to the site, she'll be able to see. Hey, the greenhouse is built, it's supposed to be some type of infiltration. Such management practice out here, and it'll be on the plan, she'll be able to see. So that's the only request we have regarding the stormwater management. Same like the rest of the other businesses.
Okay, once you reach the threshold, you'll put it in basically. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
Sounds good. Item number 20 wants to know, will the greenhouse be heated? Is there any gas services, electric services?
So, my normal plans, they're typically, they are using 1 month. That's something honestly detail-wise, whether it's a lot of times they're either fire, they'll have a fire or a burner, if you will, I'm
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, not really, honestly, it's just the way the wood bricks are.
Okay.
See what that looks like when that line arrives.
21 we already covered. Number 21 we already covered.
Right, and number 22, this is a tough one. The request is to place shrubbery in this area to screen the bins.
You guys gonna create a site
I
triangle?
will operate and use the bins and deliver and drop off and pick up if they were there. We're obviously at the mercy of the board if they want to see some type of screening. We'll provide it, but I think it would really just interfere with the activities that are going to be proposed here.
Okay.
If I may add, there's a lot of greenery that's already coming up alongside and actually almost 60%.
So you really only see it when you get to the front.
Neighbors,
where you're doing- and you're, I mean, you've got flowers out there, you've got some
Yeah, we
things
actually
out
look
there.
right out
so-
every morning, it's decorated season, that actually pays and blocks some of that as well.
Okay.
So there wasn't any issues that we put up.
And then the last item,
We've
we've
covered
testified
that.
already, I testified already. He has existing landscaping. The elimination values are on there. I'll highlight them when I resubmit to Jeff's office for review. The lighting now meets the intent of the ordinance. There is no new lighting proposed. Hopefully there's no glare issue. I'm sure I'll find that out if there isn't.
If there's a glare issue, we can shield them somehow. We can figure that out.
Yeah, I may add to that, they're actually directional, and when I actually installed them myself.
Okay.
As I put them on, I literally did drive down all road both ways to make sure it wasn't glaring in my window, and that's kind of how I set it up. But there's, on the front and back of the attached garage, and I did it for security purposes
Yeah.
as well at the time. But I put them both, they're LED, they're, I think, literally 30,000 lumens each. And then there's actually one attached to the main building, which shines down on the parking lot, and another one on the pole here that shines into the parking lot for, again, for people coming to see.
Okay.
And that's all we got.
Okay, you have anything before us?
Oh, they covered it, we covered everything in the letter, I don't have anything
All right,
further right now.
any questions from the board? Okay, we'll go back to you, Kate. All right, yeah, gotta do the public, all right,
We're going to open to the public on this application. Does anyone from the public have any questions for the applicant? Please come to the microphone. Please state your name and your address and your concern. Okay, we'll close to the public. Okay, Kate.
Okay. Okay, we're here this evening to really pass upon a site plan for this particular property. We did grant a use variance for this, on this property, because it was, a finding that we thought it was particularly suited for a garden center and a nursery, given the history and the configuration. So the applicant has submitted a site plan. They have basically complied with these, the site plan requirements, with the exception of a few things that they have requested waivers for, which was they requested a waiver for the landscape buffer with the residential lot, the gravel parking as opposed to a durable surface, lighting in the parking area and in the driveway, the parking stalls being within the road right-of-way, and having a dedicated loading area. Those are the few requirements on site plan that the applicant has requested waivers for. And other than that, the application does comply with the requirements for a site plan. A couple of conditions, if the board was inclined to grant this, a couple of conditions. The applicant has already complied with the surveillance requirement that we usually impose. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, with the getting the approval for the Lindenwold police. So, one of which was the applicant will work with the board's engineer to develop a stormwater management plan. Also, that the applicant has indicated they're going to stage and phase in the stormwater management plan relative to the state of the development of the site, okay? And And then one of the recommendations, which our engineer had said, was about having screening the horseshoe drive, and I believe you put in an argument why you didn't want to do that. So those are the only conditions that we have. Another thing that I did want to bring up, we did extend your right to operate your nursery pending, remember, because of your difficulties with the Department of Environmental Protection. I think we need to extend that because I think that did run out. Yeah. I think that was, I did check that, and I think that may have expired in May, so we need to...
It was like Easter to Labor Day, right?
That was the last one. We had, come on. Yeah, no, it was to May 31st of 2021. So we would and make that also a condition that the temporary operation can go forward. So those are the only conditions.
We'll have the stop sign also. Request for the stop sign.
Okay, stops. Okay, right.
And the one way for the one-way sign.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so if it pleases the board, we're going to ask for a motion. This would be with the 5 waivers and all the conditions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second? Can I have a roll call, Nancy? That was Pat.
Mayor Burke,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hatch,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Vandenbroek,
Yes.
Mrs. Joy Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Foley,
Yes.
Mr. Jermaine Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Minkowski.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Okay. You're welcome, Dave. Good luck. Keep up the good work.
That would be a nice spot.
Last time you come there, on council. Good to see you.
Okay, next new business, we'll go back to application JLUB 21-6A, that's Prodigy Games. Okay, we'll get Keith.
Congratulations.
Yes, okay.
Kind of give up the speed limit and move to the use variance. That's why we're going for seeking to move it into allow 100 units of right to price.
Okay, excuse us, could we move this?
Use the microphone. You can take it off there, you can hold it if you want.
Okay, we missed a lot of that.
I said before to pick it up in a minute.
All I heard is the baby.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. So this is here, I'm here on behalf of Mr. David Barnes, Prodigy Games. They were looking for a use of variance permit to operate 100 North White Horse Pike as a retail gaming lounge. There was a prior hearing where the board had recommended that there was a parking issue. They had to get a variance or easement for the parking. There was also something related to the security, which and some inspections, which everything, to my understanding, has been completed and a site plan has been provided. The easements here, I have copies of. It is Ty and Sons, which is one of the facility right next to the where the gaming lounge is going to be, has signed the easement allowing Prodigy Games to use the parking spaces there. And there's another young man across the street, Mr. Frank Trotter, who has a lot. His lot has about 13 parking spaces. So with his lot, 13 parking spaces, the parking spaces that...
That's the cable guy.
The table guy?
Trotta? That's the guy with all the cable things back
He
there.
didn't have you.
Crowder, he's the guy that came into Crowder CCTV or whatever it was called 3 or 4 years ago. Right across the street here.
Yeah, that's,
It's not in the same lot.
No, it's across Maple.
it's across on the run.
It's on the other side of
There's another
Maple.
building.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He's got permission to park vehicles there, then,
Variance or parking variance?
Was parking, he needed,
I don't know, if that's gonna be part of the parking arrangement?
he had the only
This
question
is,
was.
I'm sorry, but this kind of diagram is really hard to understand.
Yeah, I don't know what's
Maybe
going on
you
with
can-
that.
Maybe you can explain it.
So, our store is right here, and then the side is pretty much in the back there.
Okay.
These 9 spots right here are pretty much dedicated to us. Side as well also gave us parking to the, which would be to the left of the property, right here. We also have additional parking, that we're able to use as well. Side auto garage is here, and then it pretty much occupies the rest of the spaces here. We also brought Simon today, so he, can speak on his own behalf as well.
So you can park 20 vehicles on there when,
I cannot park some vehicles, on the property with side, but with Frank and side, I can get more than some.
okay.
Okay, can I ask, if this is Ty's property, right?
Well, Ty is actually a lessee on the property, and the property is actually owned by the same, the person that owns.
You guys are on the same lot?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a question, because I've been, looked at it a couple of times over here. Now, you're talking about where that big gigantic boat is sitting out there on the lot, and in front, you're gonna park in front of those
No,
vehicles and
they're
stuff?
actually to the far left-hand side of the boat, perhaps maybe 3 spots down. There is now an empty, a small lot that we're able to use, that we pretty much dedicated that particular parking to us.
Because now we're hearing the fact that there's another business back there who does detailing, car detailing.
I can't speak on that.
Well, I understand that, but now that we know it's there,
And there, the gentleman came in, I believe it was yesterday, he has the application, he did not know he was there. He did not come to the board, he does not have motion file. Mr. Mayor gave him 2 weeks to get the application submitted to the board.
my concern is that if he's going to be doing detailing there, that's even going to be more cars.
Yeah, well, it's detailing and auto restoration. But that means I don't know until his application comes in and comes to the board.
Also, regards to across the street, the cable route. I don't think he has the ability to use that. I don't think he has that, when we did his,
I'd have to go back and look.
we're gonna have to research that, because,
What, to use it for parking, you mean?
yeah, to use it for park, because he has all those cable wheels back there and stuff,
He needs to clean all that up.
and I believe,
In the process, he's actually taking those cables, he actually has a second property, that he was aware of, that all those cables is pretty much getting cleaned up, which is a part of the reason why he signed these and said, listen, you guys are park over here, all these cables, we need like a couple of weeks, and then we'll be here.
You know how many spaces are over there?
13, however, there's a giant parking lot that it could hold more than 13, but actual parking places.
That's what's striped out over there, is 13? Okay. It is pretty big, it's a pretty big area back there.
yeah,
I can look
how
at
big
the
is it,
old-
how
I'd have
big
to
is
look
it
at
when
the
all
old
the trucks are in there? Because all
What's
the
that?
trucks are in there, all the trucks are in there in the evening, right?
Do they park?
No, there's only one truck there that.
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
there. And that truck is like in the back, it won't even be anywhere near the park.
I don't know the business operations.
I have pictures, if you would like to see them.
I don't know about the rest of the board, but I didn't know that he was gonna be using that lot as well. Does anybody have a? I'm sorry.
I drove by and saw the cables being picked up and stuff like that, but I didn't see anything other
You
than
know, I
that.
think the guy with the cable was cited because he had more than was supposed to be there.
They weren't supposed to store stuff outdoors, but I know that with their approval.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
They weren't supposed to be storing anything over there, as far as I know.
I don't
That's
have
being-
an issue if there's parking going on over there for the use of that I just want to make sure that he doesn't decide to go back and start bringing extra stuff in. I mean, I know it's happening.
I'm sure Mr. Barnes is gonna let him know about it, since he can't park there, right? Yeah.
Now, we got some cables cleaned up, well, because we signed the easement and agreed, to the easement, that's a part of him cleaning it up. So I think that's part of the contract.
Unfortunately, he wasn't supposed to store the cable reels there at all. He was asked not to do that. That's part of his agreement. So we can't trust what he's going to say to you because he said it to us and didn't follow what he said. So that's the problem.
It's just, our concern is basically the street parking, okay? If you have a place for these people to park and you're going to be able to make sure that they know that there is no street parking, I don't want to put a no parking sign. I mean, I can have them put up no parking signs and stuff like that out there, but the problem is, I've got to be able to get a fire truck down that street. I mean, even after we said you could only have retail, the street was blocked up one night. So
I had nothing to do.
I'm not saying anything wrong, I just know that it was totally blocked up. And it makes it real difficult to get fire trucks down there and the police vehicles if they have to in a hurry.
So if you're having like one of your tournaments or whatever your events are, do you just let, when you notify these people, just let them know where the overflow parking is?
Absolutely. When we take the step further, we actually plan, every tournament, especially until, things get in the rhythm and the flow, to actually check the parking. Hey, what vehicles park on the street, you guys move into the parking lot, whether it's our parking lot or across the street, the overflow or what have you.
It sounds like with 13 spaces there, you got at least you've got 9 on your lot and then more over here, so how many spaces do you think you're gonna have total available, like on any given night? What do you?
Available at any given night, to be honest, I would probably need about 10 to 11 spaces.
I mean, what do you think is going to be available though when you're how many are you going to have available to you is what I'm asking.
For Ty or Frank, I'm sorry?
For all together, Frank, Ty, what's on your lot there? 20 some?
Yeah, probably about maybe 25.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Okay, and the 25 spots, so there is 9 spots on right where you are, 13
Yes, ma'am.
on the other, and then where's the rest?
There's additional parking. I'm sorry.
Could you show that on the board where?
Is it back here?
Back
Right, yes, ma'am.
Just back, if you go down Maple, just back left corner, I guess, if you
Right, right here?
come up the plate.
Back in there, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Mhm.
So I mean, just between Frank and the 9 in his lot, he meets the requirement if indeed 13 spaces are available there. And if he's got more in the back, then it looks like they would be in excess of what we were asking for by ordinance.
So the ordinance was how many did we?
20 we came up
20,
with.
okay.
Yes.
It was a couple weeks ago, but how late would your tournaments be going?
It varies. I like to try to get out here like 9, 10, because we also sell, primarily online as well. So those hours that we're not actually in front of customers, we're shipping orders and things of that nature.
Is that true on weekends also?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And about how often do you have the tournaments?
When we were running them, we were having them just on Sundays. When we get full permission to open up, we're looking at about 4 to 5 times a week. Yu-Gi-Oh being our biggest game, but there's Pokemon fans, there's Magic the Gathering fans. Our following isn't anywhere near as big for those, so those won't be as packed. But I'm looking about the standard card store, normally like 4 to 5 days, something around there.
And is some of that just drop off only? Like dropping kids off?
Oh, yeah, so some of us drop off only, a lot of it is carpooling. So even when, we were illegal parking on the street, there would only be maybe like 8 to 10 cars. However, there would be, 25, 30 people inside. The reason for that is because a lot of people like to carpool with their friends.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
So it seems like the issues that we asked them to address either to come back for the variance or to secure the parking, if part of that original approval even met.
What was that now?
I said, it seems like the things that we asked to be addressed as far as securing the additional parking and/or requesting the variance, at the prior hearing, they addressed those issues.
Yeah, I'm sorry, one question more, and I know we had to have security cameras over there for that, wait, but the security cameras cover his parking lot, you know?
Yes,
Because this way the cars that you're parking
Prada
over
would
there.
have them too. We asked Prada for
That's why I want to make sure
everybody gets cameras.
everybody gets
so
cameras.
He
but I
should
wanna
have them,
make
I don't know if he
sure
does.
they Cover the parking lot because he's going to be parking people from over there at night,
Okay.
and I just want to make sure his park,
I just get the approval from the chief.
okay, on both.
I don't know what it covers.
I just wanted to make sure it covers the parking lot so that anybody who parks his stuff over there, it says there is a building between them. You know, nobody's car gets,
I just
Look
keep
at it.
cameras on Frank's property. The police chief came out to inspect ours and gave us the A-OK as far as the way the cameras were angled and situated.
okay. I'm just concerned for your patrons to make sure that their cars are covered by a camera in case something happens.
Okay. We can just verify with the police department that, or with but just verify with Prada somehow that the parking lot's covered in his surveillance, I guess.
Okay.
Make that a condition of any approval. Does that sound reasonable?
I'm sure it probably is,
Well, he has to have cameras because he would have,
because he had all that stuff in the parking lot there.
yeah, he was asked to get cameras when he got his approval, just like everybody, so.
I have for product agreements, I do have a letter with the
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I do have some issues with the easement agreement, okay, and one of which is this being attached to it, because the agreement doesn't tell you where the easement is.
Okay.
And is the, your neighbor, Frank Mopp, the estate, are they guaranteeing you these spots? On the hours that you are allowed to park there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so will this be attached to the easement agreement, because it doesn't specify?
It does not specify, but we will attach it.
Okay. And then also, because you have, the easement stays in place, you have an obligation to maintain, keep places clean, and you could very well lose your easement rights if you violate the terms of the easement agreement. So I think that we need to make as a condition of any approval that the easement agreement stays in full force and effect. If you lose that easement agreement, then you're going to have to come back in. Okay.
If you lose the parking, then you're not compliant anymore.
Yeah.
Definitely. Good point.
Because the parking is contingent on this agreement going forward, and there is some stipulations that it can be revoked if, okay.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Seth?
I don't have anything further.
Questions from the board? Okay. So do you want to go through the thing with the condition with the easement? All right, we'll open to the public. All right, now you go. All right, we'll open to the public. Does anybody have any questions about Prodigy Games? Please come to the microphone, state your concerns and your name and address. Close to the public.
Okay, this is an application here for a variance. It was going to be a parking variance. The applicant did get an approval several months ago to occupy the property as a retail operation. We had a concern with the tournament game thing with the parking. So he did explore that. We did get an easement agreement with the neighbors. So the sum total of the available parking that is on site and that is available via the easement and the backyard satisfies the parking requirements for the operation. So Now, what we would want, though, here on this is a couple of conditions. The parking lot, you will check with the Lindenwold Police Department to make sure that the parking area is properly surveilled, okay? The parking easement, you're going to work with me and make a couple of changes on this, and the parking easement has to stay in full force in effect during the operation of your business, okay?
In reference to calling the police station, in correspondence to like the cameras, as a regular constituent, am I allowed to do that? Like, hey, I'm going to make sure that cameras pointing in the parking lot that kind of sound suspicious is coming from a regular constituent. So is that a thing that allows?
I think if you call him and explain your situation, you've got this approval from the board, and one of the things is we're using his parking lot under a shared access agreement. The board wants us to make sure that that area is surveilled. I would, if you phrased it that way, I think you'd probably call yourself right.
Okay.
If there's any
Do you
problem.
want that? Do you want that?
And if he's giving you permission to use the parking lot, I'm sure he's going to say, yeah, this time is covered.
So you just want to get a letter from him or everything?
Right, and that's get a letter from the police up front.
Right.
Right, okay, absolutely.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's fine.
That's fine.
Only
Okay.
somebody's comfortable.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion on JLUB 21-6A with the condition of the easement agreement?
Oh, we did.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Roach?
Yes.
Councilwoman Howe? Yes. Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderburg?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Foley? Yes. Mr. Jermaine Jackson? Mr. Lankowski?
Yes. There you go.
The good thing right here is that the other guy says, now the other guy's going to have a problem with that.
So the only condition I'm saying is you're going to amend, you work to amend the easement agreement to make that appropriate attachment. And then we get a letter from Mr. Trotter for the campus. But if this
You're going to work with Kate on the easement agreements?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that pretty much covers it, right? That should cover it. Those are the two main conditions you got to work out.
So with these conditions, can we operate the business, or we would still place that on hold at this point?
I would think so.
Yep, you've all been inspected, right? Everything's been inspected?
Yeah.
You want a mercantile? So that'll cover the new operations,
It covers everything.
Okay.
It covers the whole building.
I think it's just the easement agreement and that letter from Frank.
Okay, so just submit those, and then this one, we don't have to go back to the board.
Nope. I can just submit them to Nancy and she'll get them in the right hands. Or you're going to work with Kate on the easement, obviously.
Yeah.
so.
And I just put the letter from Mr. Trotter on the expectation Jackson and Lankowski.
Okay. That should do it.
All right. All right, good luck, young man. You have a chance, I've done some research. You have a chance to be very successful in this business. Make sure you do your due diligence, all right? Yeah, you need any shirt? Yeah, I got that off a friend, remember? I thought you'd like that.
Kate, do you have a card?
Pardon me?
You can email me, I'll get you some. So we can,
I thought you would like that.
I think he's got a card, please, sir.
Okay, we're going to open to the public. Does anyone have any questions or concerns for the planning board? What's that?
There's one more thing.
Oh, what was it?
That's FYI, this is the last thing.
All right. All right, correspondence, FY letter from LP, Roosevelt Avenue.
It's FYI, but I get now, I have to put the correspondence. I never saw it, I couldn't.
We have to, I don't see the letter.
I didn't study it.
It's just a letter that says thank you for what happened last meeting.
All right, for the last meeting, all right.
Yeah, we're not-
Okay, we're just going to respond to
Thank you
that.
from a woman who lives on Rosemont,
Oh, okay, all
somewhere
right,
over there.
all right.
I wanted to say thank you for making sure that he didn't have his blacktop.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Okay, she's very welcome. Okay, all right, we'll open the meeting to the public. All right, motion to close? Motion for adjournment? So moved. All right.
Okay,
All in favor?
all right.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed?